This is a story about a well-known village of very strange people in Finland. And these people were a bit crazy and they were a bit silly and a bit foolish. And the village was called the Village of the Foolish Folk. And one of the stories about the foolish folk goes like this. Once upon a time, the foolish folk decided to build a new house. And they put up the 4 walls and they put up the roof and they had a little door and they were very pleased with their house, except that when they went in the house, they thought it was very dark, much darker than it was outside where the sun was shining. So they had a discussion and they all sat down together and they said, what shall we do in order to bring some light in our house to make it lighter? So one of them said, I know, why don't we carry in some of the light from outside in our bags? We've got these big shopping bags. Why don't we carry some light in and then it will be light inside the house? And then somebody else said, yeah, that's a good idea. What we could do then is, as some of us are carrying the light in, other people could carry some of the darkness out in the same bags. And so they agreed to do this. All the women got together and they took their bags and they carried light in from outside into the house, one after the other. And all the men filled the bags with darkness inside the house and took the bags out again. And they went on and on and on and on. And then still the house didn't get any lighter. What should they do? Well, just then along comes a man from the next village whose name was Matti. And he had a bit of brain. He had a good idea. And they said, what can we do to make our house lighter? And Matti took an axe and he made a big hole in one of the walls. And he said, that's what you need to do. And the foolish folk went inside the house and they noticed that through the hole the light came. Matti had made a kind of window. Oh, they said, that's a good idea. Let's make the hole bigger so we can have even more light. So they got more axes and they bashed down the wall and made it really big, a really big window. And then one of them said, we could make it even more light if we knocked down the other wall as well. So they knocked down the other wall and it was nearly as light inside the house as it was outside the house. And then they began to knock down the 3rd wall and suddenly the roof fell in and the house fell down because there's no walls left. Fortunately, there was nobody in the house, so nobody was hurt. But then they didn't have a house, but somebody noticed that it was pretty much as light in the house, which was going to be a house, as it had been outside all the time. So they were very satisfied. And that's the end of the story.